Which first-year head coach will have the most wins in 2025? How about Aaron Rodgers' next team? We got a lot to cover today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins, and we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started.
Joe, the only thing I aspire to in life is to never have the same look of betrayal on his face as what Joe Burrow did when Snoop Dogg made the good defense joke at the NFL Awards last night.
Boy, yeah. Snoop was letting it rip, man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He didn't let it He was going in on reps and every other thing. I was like, okay.
I mean, I just felt so bad for Joe Burrow, who's sitting there smiling, and then the joke happens and the camera cuts back, and like he does like the head tilt and his smile disappears, and I was like, oh man, he cut you deep there, didn't he?
Yeah, there's a good bit of that, but when Snoop can say what he wants, man, he's earned that in his life. So
right.
Kyle, it's the 247th episode of Takes on Takes. Shall we?
I think that's 245 more than the other outlet that's doing takes on takes now, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy, unbelievable.
Yeah. Shame on us. We didn't copyright.
Yeah, we should have copyrighted it.
Trademark it.
Yeah, went the Pat Riley route, get that 3-peat.
Right.
It's on us, man. It's on us.
Goodell. Oh, missed opportunity. Let's do it.
Phil says Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, shout out to my guy.
He saw a shadow again.
He did. He
does that a lot.
He sure does, but he's the prognosticator of prognosticators, Kyle.
Did you know he's a dad now too?
No, I didn't know that.
Club. That was like a big deal. It's like, it's his first winter as a dad.
I'm still waiting for my wife to surprise me with a trip to Punxsutawney for Groundhog Day. But when another year goes by, I mean, we got 2 kids now. We got the 9-month-old. I kind of get it, but
yeah,
hopefully we get that done soon.
So this was not Punxsutawney Phil's take.
No, okay. Unfortunate. Phil does say that Brian Schottenheimer will have the best year 1 record of all the recent head coaching hires.
So I'm assuming recent means this year's.
Yeah, this year's. So Dallas Cowboys, shall we quickly do the thing?
Sure.
I got the list.
Yeah, do the thing.
So does he have more wins than Ben Johnson with the Bears?
Maybe. Probably not.
Oh, you say you think the Bears win more games than the Cowboys this coming year?
Yeah, it's hard to say right now. It's really early. But I mean, surely there's some regression from some team in the NFC North. And it's not like you could sit here and point to the NFC East and say, well, that's a beacon of lay down games because the Commanders are good now. So it's a tough one for me.
All right, you're a little bit more push, or maybe I think that the Cowboys win more games than the Bears.
Okay.
Liam Cohen with the Jaguars.
In that division.
I'm going to say no.
You think Liam does not get more?
Right. I think Shotty wins more games.
Okay. I'll ride with you for that one.
Pete Carroll with the Raiders.
In that division, yeah. Schottenheimer will win more games.
Mike Vrabel with the Patriots.
They just have such a long way to go. So probably.
Aaron Glenn with the Jets.
They have a long way to go.
And then presumably Kellen Moore with the Saints.
This might be a factual take.
Right. I read it originally, and I said, I don't know about this. Yeah, and then I went through and I put it all down. And I was like, okay, these are the coaches. I'm like, maybe.
Maybe.
Probably the best quarterback situation of any of these. Plus, there's a for whatever it matters, there's a continuity element that exists with Schottenheimer. I think he's got a good chance to do this. I think it's a good take. Bub says you should always root for the team that beat you in the playoffs in the Super Bowl if the situation occurs. It allows for maximum coping. It can let you believe you would have won the Super Bowl if you could have gotten by that team. I feel deeply personal.
Knowing Bub, there is definitely some of that. I feel like he's rooting for the Chiefs. I can't relate to this take at all. I don't know how I would.
Last year,
take.
You had the scenario: the Chiefs bounced the Dolphins, and then they won. Did you want them to win the Super Bowl last year?
No, because they won the Super Bowl the year before that. So no.
I am all over the place with this. There's a big part of me that, I'm not rooting for more Chiefs happiness, but do I really want Jalen Hurts to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback before Josh Allen? I don't love that. Oh, the Chiefs win another one? Oh,
Jalen Hurts hasn't won an MVP though.
Yeah, I'm not like Cam Newton. I'd take the Super Bowl win over the MVP. And the MVP is cool, but you want the Super Bowl win? Wow. Yeah, I'll slander that for the rest of my life. That's going to be fuel. That's going to be right there with the Ron. The talking points that trigger me. That's going to be there for a long time. So I think I'm okay with the Chiefs winning because it does help me cope, and I don't want Jalen Hurts to get one before Josh. That's where I'm at with it.
Fair.
Dolphins Craze says the air fryer is the GOAT of kitchen appliances.
I don't maximize my potential with the air fryer, so I can't sit here and be like, wow, the air fryer changed my life. What's the GOAT for me is the microwave because it's really fast and easy.
This thing's unbelievable.
I put it in for 30 seconds and it comes out piping hot. That's amazing.
This is my gripe with the air fryer. It is a great appliance. The cleaning part is not great. I don't love that whole situation. I wish that was not there.
It's real easy to clean? The microwave.
Yeah.
Get a paper towel and swipe it through there and you're done.
I'm big on the Keurig, and I know that there's a lot of coffee purists that are like, oh, it's just not that good. You got to grind your beans. My wife is that person, so I'm married to that person, so I don't need your slander about Keurigs. I, for one, just really like some coffee to go with my cream, and so the Keurig does a really nice job of providing that for me in a timely fashion. So I'm in on the Keurig as the GOAT kitchen appliance. Jim says Alfred Collins. That's a defensive tackle from Texas. Yeah,
big fan.
He said that he is drafted in round 1.
Oh, man, I'd get real fired up for the brand if Big Al Collins goes in the first round. I don't think he does. I think Kansas City would make a ton of sense for him to have a complimentary player next to Chris Jones. And Chris Jones is the only defensive tackle under contract with the team right now.
And that awesome. Pennell-Noddy combinations kind of run its course, right? Go ahead.
This was a very pro Mike Pennell podcast 12 months ago.
Right. But
we've had enough now.
And Noddy's cooked, man. Noddy's just cooked.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see for Kansas City. And I know we're at some point going to do the Super Bowl preview show. And there's been extenuating circumstances all week that prevented us from doing a show yesterday. They got Nick Bolton's an expiring contract. The defensive interior has a bunch of players that are expiring contracts opposite Chris Jones. And it'll be interesting to see how that team continues to retool, which has been their objective the last couple off seasons, because it keeps as it cycles, it's now hitting different parts of the roster. And we'll see how they continue to attack it.
Yeah, I think I predictively will not agree that Collins goes first round. But I do think that he is in that conversation of those last 5 picks where, you never know. The Ricky Pearsall sneak in there, the Cole Stranges. Right. You just never know. I think he's a candidate, but I would predictively say no. All right, coming up on the other side of it, we're leading with this. Aaron Rodgers will be the next quarterback for the Steelers. So chew on that while I tell everyone about BetterHelp. Folks, be sure to stick with us. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags? We often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but what if we focus more on identifying the positive signs in our relationships, those green flags? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help identify them, actively practice them, and even embody that green flag energy for yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building a relationship, or just working on yourself, therapy can help you form relationships that you love back. Therapy helps you develop healthy boundaries and improves your communication skills and empowers you to set clear expectations and express your relationship needs. Therapy provides tools for managing conflict in ways that strengthen your connections rather than break them down. BetterHelp makes it easy by offering online therapy with over 30,000 licensed therapists to choose from. And if you need to switch therapists, you can do so at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn.
I know we're doing Hall of Fame snubs.
Yep.
In the next block.
Yep.
But I just want to know who's on the list of people that we have to fight for this Luke Kuechly thing.
That's literally going to be the lead for segment 3.
Okay.
So
I'm just sitting here. I've been stewing over. My timeline is full of Luke Kuechly clips.
Probably.
Segment 3.
Yeah, we have that. I try to get a headliner for each segment. Alex does say that Aaron Rodgers will be the next quarterback for the Steelers. Jay Glazer came out in an interview, who's like BFFs with Mike Tomlin, and said, Russ is not coming back, and probably not on Justin Fields. Someone's going to play quarterback for the Steelers next year.
Yeah. That might be a good tease for my mock draft on next Monday for the 33rd team.
Oh. Did you throw a dart at the board and find a quarterback for the Steelers?
Perhaps I did.
Wow.
Hard to say.
Hey, you could see this, though, right? I think it's a pretty reasonable take. Probably not, right? I think generally the smart thing would say, probably not take the field. But if the Steelers need a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to play, I mean, he's going to go somewhere where he can start.
Right.
You could see this, right?
Yeah. And, a chance to go play in a heavyweight division like the AFC North. I'm sure Aaron would revel in that opportunity. And there's no coach that I would feel better about taking on a big personality and injecting it into their locker room and maintaining some level of stability than with Mike Tomlin. So it would be pretty high up on, I think, the list of potential outcomes for a team that's kind of stuck right now in quarterback purgatory.
Yeah, honestly, not a bad path. I wouldn't, if I was a Steelers fan, I think I'd probably be open to it. Football with Oz. Joe Thuney, playing guard since 2016 and then switching to left tackle for a playoff run this year, is one of the most impressive storylines of the season and is a big reason why the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl this week.
Yeah, I mean, their tackle situation's in a rough way. Jawan Taylor, that investment was supposed to be the next version of the Joe Thuney signing. And, because they went back-to-back years and gave top of market contracts out to offensive linemen, and we're not back-to-back years, but they were back-to-back contracts that were in like a certain stratosphere of like a percentage of cap that was given out. And though they've swung the bat on a couple of day 2 picks at tackle for the other spot, it hasn't materialized for them. And I definitely think to have somebody who could bump out like that and kind of bail you out really is huge. Now, whether that story continues against Philadelphia where they're defensive front, I think that'll be really interesting to watch and one of the storylines of the game.
I think this is an incredible story. Joe Thuney, the career that he's had, like an unheralded career. He's going to be a Hall of Fame guard, offensive lineman, I guess. But here's what I'll say about this, and I think it is unbelievable, and I have nothing but respect for Joe Thuney. The Chiefs have been kind of working around bad tackles for a while now, right? The Wanye Morris, Kingsley Suamaitia platoon not really working out at left tackle. DJ Humphries didn't come in and provide an answer. Was their best plan to get by at tackle, or like do you disrupt that middle 3? That's where it's hard for me, because now you put Caliendo in there at left guard. I think he's a replacement level reserve. And now you have Thuney at left tackle. Did you get worse at 2 spots to fix 1? I wonder. So I think it's a great story, but I don't know if I look at this as a leading reason why that they're in the Super Bowl. I think they were getting by with bad tackle play, and I wonder if they hurt their interior 3.
They're accustomed to problem solving that issue on a weekly basis, right? Because that's what game planning is, right? It's right. How do we problem solve the challenges, unique challenges that this week's personnel jigsaw puzzles give us?
I'm interested to see how it plays out. Yeah. They do figure it out so well. Dave says, while the conventional logic is the Patriots should trade down from number 4 and amass assets, I believe the opposite. They should stick at 4 and trade from 38. And he's dreaming of a Mason Graham, Josh Connerly combination as a massive step in the right direction for them pending free agency.
That'd be really fun if they could pull something like that off.
They should be able to, right?
What? Pull something like that off?
Yeah, I think they can come away with whether it's an Abdul Carter or Mason Graham for their front. And then they can, I think at that second pick, they can look at a combination where they're getting a potential starting offensive lineman.
Yeah, but it's a question of how it would you come up? And if you came up, how high could you get?
I don't know if you need to, I don't know if you'd need to. Now the worry is that they Jalen Polk the situation, right?
Right. Well, they have 69 and 77. They have Atlanta's 3 for the Judon trade. So you could theoretically go 38 and 77.
Get up to
that gets you into those last couple picks.
Yeah, it does.
Somebody falls through.
Yeah, I think that's a good lesson learned because that wide receiver thing did not work.
They got cute.
They
right.
Yeah,
they got cute.
Yeah. JDB has this one. The depth of this year's edge class means none of this year's top 29 picks will be moved for Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, or Trey Hendrickson.
Why'd we have our cutoff at 29?
Well, I think I know
30.
What's funny is I recognize I copy pasted this into my sheet and I just recognized the top 29 threshold there.
So I'm looking at these teams. Tampa,
that's a strong contender. They should, if they can, if that's possible, they should.
They're probably the team that's not too high in the order to make it kind of a hard pill to swallow for like what kind of player you could maybe get in that stratosphere where I think the middle class of the first rounds is the strength of it. So they're not too high in the order, but they're not down too low where I think they'd have a reasonable chance to swing something like that. And they really need to help at the edge rush group. So, and it feels like a lot of the rest of that roster is kind of ready, especially if they bring back some veteran players. Like, do they bring back Chris Godwin? Do they bring back Levante David again? If they do, I think that kind of puts them in a life cycle and a standpoint frame of mind where it would make sense to do something like that for Myles Garrett.
Yeah. You think these guys get traded? Do you think that,
I think somebody will. Somebody will.
Yeah, I could talk myself in circles on this stuff. It'll be fun. We always have these receiver trades. It's like starts tossing around these defensive ends. It's funny when
now that the ceiling of the salary has gone up. Now it kind of makes it. That's what happened at wide receiver.
Right. Garrett's going to get $35 million. Crosby's going to get mid-30s. Parsons going to get mid-30s, and now it's like you start to ask yourself some hard questions. And
what's Trey Hendrickson going to get?
That's the one I don't know. He's been unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And it feels like the compensation there would potentially be less.
In theory, but not if you're giving a guy $32 million. Like,
I know that's the hard part. You're giving up assets and cap space.
Yeah.
Boy. All right. Von Tell's coming in hot. He says Donovan Izaraku, that's the edge rusher from Boston College, will get drafted before Georgia edge rusher Mikel Williams, predictably.
I don't think so. Izaraku, I thought, had a nice week at the Senior Bowl, but as a 6'2" rusher with good length, but not a lot of power. Like it was like a win for him to weigh in over 250, right? Mm-hmm. You're kind of in that. You're in that limbo period where like I can see teams still letting you fall a little bit because even though you check some boxes with your weigh-in stuff, it's just not. Strength is more translatable when you're doing projection, right? And Izaraku's got a really deep bag of pass rush counters, but it's not like he plays with the kind of power that Mikel Williams does. And then Mikel Williams has elite length. So for me, I think that's enough. And he's just as explosive as a bigger player. So I would sell this take, but it'll be really interesting to see. Like every once in a while, you'll get a player like that the league doesn't really care about what it usually does with players that are like the fringe 250 guys, and they'll take them high anyway. And I don't know if Izaraku will be one of those players or not.
I don't agree with this at all. I think Mikel Williams definitely goes higher than Izaraku. It doesn't matter your own personal opinions of the players. I think the historical norms in the NFL tell you that players like Mikel Williams are going to go higher. And like you even said, like mostly the Izarakus will slide a little bit with some exceptions. So I think the conventional wisdom says Williams goes first, even if I would understand if somebody were to say, I like Izaraku better as a prospect.
And I have them graded very, very closely for myself personally.
Yeah, I think it's Williams. Okay, we're going to get to the Hall of Fame stuff on the other side of it. And one of the college football rules that I think should change, I agree with the take. We'll get to that more here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with us. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Folks, the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, PrizePicks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least two players' projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. PrizePicks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw for 1 yard to win. You pair that with one more correct pick, and you're cashing out. And, folks, I'm going to pair that with selecting more on Travis Kelce on receiving yards. And if I get that right, we will hit what I love most, fast, safe, and secure withdrawals. When I win, my cash is in my account in as little as 15 minutes. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, here it is. Sports Nut. If Luke Kuechly and Steve Smith played in bigger legacy markets like Green Bay, Dallas, Chicago, New York, LA, Philly, San Francisco, etc., they would have been first ballot or already in the Hall of Fame.
Probably. Like, perception is such a big piece of this.
Man, Luke Kuechly's the best linebacker I've ever watched.
But he played in Carolina. And still had all the accolades in the world.
Yeah. I hate to agree that that's the small market piece of it, but it might be. The point being is that I think, man, ball knowers know that Luke Kuechly is a first ballot Hall of Fame linebacker.
Correct.
We think about Steve Smith. The receivers have to wait. That's one thing that's been pretty,
there's such a backlog there.
Right.
And I lived this for a really long time with Zach Thomas. The whole Brian Urlacher being first ballot Hall of Famer. To me, that's where I really feel this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Zach Thomas should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, but if Brian Urlacher's resume is that of a first ballot Hall of Famer, how is Luke Kuechly's resume not a first ballot Hall of Famer? Because it wasn't like Zach Thomas where he was a day 3 pick who was an underdog story and then beat out Jack Del Rio for a starting spot as a rookie and then took over. This guy was a top 20 pick. Played in Boston College. Was electric. Was first team All-Pro how many times? 5 times?
Maybe more.
6 times? In 8 seasons? So that's for me where I can't help but feel like, okay, Brian Urlacher got in because he played in Chicago, and the voters that are responsible for making the decision had more of an accessibility to him versus now it's Luke Kuechly played for a shorter time in Carolina.
He's the best linebacker I've ever seen.
And they also made some, they made an induction change too, didn't they?
Yeah, dude. When they announced the class, I'm like, well, where's the other 5 guys?
Right.
What happened here? I was really unacquainted with those procedural changes.
So it's 80% of threshold or top 3 guaranteed to fit in, guaranteed to get in. 80%. It's a big threshold.
Yeah, we're gonna get a bad backlog because of this.
Well, especially with what the 2026 eligible guys look like.
Right.
I mean, that class, you could make a full 5-person induction class off of guys that were just first ballot eligible in that group.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we got some stuff to reconsider here with the Hall of Fame.
I would agree, but it's been like that for a while.
Aaron says Chinese isn't a top 5 takeout cuisine. And he'd also like to make a side note. He's from Wales. So he said baked beans are elite in the right environment for the English breakfast. But the take being Chinese isn't top 5 takeout cuisine.
Team let people like things. That's fine. Takeout cuisine.
Yeah. I'll say this about Chinese food, man. Nothing scares you more than ordering Chinese from somewhere where you've never had it before.
Because the variant, like, what if the what if it's soggy? If it's soggy, then it's like,
questions, man. Questions
you want it in the sauce, but you still want it to have the crunch with it being fried. Or you just do broccoli chicken, but then that. How fun is broccoli chicken? That's not a top 5 takeout experience for broccoli chicken.
If you know it, though, if you know the Chinese place, you know what you're getting. I mean, that's definitely top 5 takeout option.
I would agree.
What's your go-to? I mean, I'm. This is going to sound like slander, but I know you order a lot of chicken, Caesar salads. Do you have a big time?
I don't order as many as you think I do.
Kyle, I've had a lot of dinners with you. I don't think I've ever seen United salad.
It depends on where we go and what the menu options are. Right. I would prefer a meat and a yam or a sweet potato, some broccoli, broccolini. What's most places Texas Roadhouse don't have that, right? So we do a grilled chicken Caesar salad.
So what is your go-to takeout? Are you ordering a lot of takeout these days? I definitely am.
We probably get stuff delivered to the house once or twice a week, depending with the kids.
That's probably what we have too.
It's an Italian. We get Italian one day.
What do you get from an Italian restaurant?
Oh, probably some variation of a meat lover stromboli or something like that.
Okay.
Just don't eat all the dough.
I know. I've seen this. You dig out the inside and you have a
spoon. I'll just eat all the inside of the cheese.
I need that discipline, Kyle. I need it. I want the bread, brother. I want that bread.
So do I. That's my problem.
Yeah, but your ability to say no is unbelievable.
Well, then I'll sit there and I'll just eat. I'll pick at the bread after.
Yeah, I've seen this.
The table's done. I'll sit there. Oh, let me pull off a piece. Oh, let me pull off another piece. And it's like, oh, I ate half the dough.
I've seen this happen to you as well, and it makes me feel better about myself every time you do that. So keep doing that. Keep doing that.
Sushi's no longer on our lexicon.
We're out.
Out.
Bro, I've seen you house some sushi. Remember when we went to Cowfish?
Yeah, I do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that was before we got the food poisoning from the sushi. And you get food poisoning with sushi, it's the last time you ever eat sushi. I promise you that. It's
going to be wraps on that.
So, yeah. And then, there's, American cuisine type stuff, like burgers and chicken, grilled chicken sandwiches and stuff like that place down the street from us that we get pretty often, too.
I'm a big barbecue takeout guy. That's my favorite takeout.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of barbecue joints around here.
Understandable.
So,
dude, I'm in on this one. John says college football should change to the NFL rule of having the wide receiver having both feet in bounds with possession in order for it to be considered a catch.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing that I'm super passionate about the college rules aligning with the NFL is you got to be down by contact. I'm tired of this. You catch a screen pass, your knees touch the ground, and you're down. No, you need to be tackled. I hate that about college football, to be honest with you. You don't feel strong about this? I remember watching a playoff game, and I remember watching the play and thinking to myself,
why did he play?
No, it was an NFL playoff. It was an NFL playoff. I don't remember which game it was, where a receiver caught the pass, and I'm like, he winds up getting up and getting a first down. And I'm like, if that happened in college, he'd be down for no reason. You need to be down by contact.
It'd be a 4-year. I support that rule change only for college kids once they make the leap, stopping going down and giving up on a play because they're used to just being down.
Right. But then was it the Rams player that got up and fumbled?
Yeah.
So there's that.
No, wasn't that a Washington player against the Eagles?
Yes, it was Washington.
It was Eckler, right?
Was it? Yeah, it was Eckler. That's right. I knew it was against
Eckler
the Eagles.
Caught it, fell down, and got back up and fumbled.
He wishes the college rules applied.
Yeah, because then he wouldn't have had that moment.
You got to be down by contact.
I would agree there are some probably some rule changes we can make that would increase the viewability of the college game. But we'll see because NCAA doesn't do anything now, right? Not really a governing body anymore. Who knows what we're here for other than sanctioning the big team playoff. But it's a story for another day. That's going to do it for us here today on Locked On NFL Scouting. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He's Joe Marino. We have a Super Bowl preview coming your way at some point. Stay tuned. And we'll bring that to you before the big game on Sunday. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino. Appreciate you guys as always. Make it a good rest of your day. We are out of here.